welcome to Real Estate Divas. I'm Jer'leigh Thompson.
And I'm Kristin Gerst.
And we are here with Steve Csobaji from Quest Trust, and he is dropping all kinds of knowledge bombs on us. Steve, introduce yourself.
Steve Csobaji from Quest Trust Company here in Dallas. I'm the regional sales manager, and we at Quest offer self-directed IRAs, which let people take that retirement money and put it into these alternative assets like single family, multifamily, private lending, private company stock, oil and gas. Anything you can't do through Schwab or Fidelity, you can do through us.
Which is fantastic. Like a lot of investors out there are looking for people that have self-directed IRAs so that they can put money into their deals. They're bringing deals to your clients in your offices at different networking events. And if you haven't been to one of the networking events, I mean, you should really try it because it's freaking phenomenal.
And there's money everywhere.
Yeah,
Yes.
There's money everywhere. Like, and you just, if you don't know how to put it in your deal, they can kind of help you figure that out as well. But I mean, it's there. And I just can't say enough about.
Well, and my favorite part about Quest Trust is it was created for real estate investors by real estate investors.
That's really true. Yeah. And, with so many people retiring today, there's so much money that's going into these IRAs. And like you said, I mean, it's for clients and non-clients alike. Just in the last couple of weeks, I've had a couple of operators who've contacted me about doing webinars because that's where a lot of the money is just sitting there. And people are very unsure about the stock market these days. And they are looking for other avenues to put their money into, to put it to work.
Well, we did an episode before to kind of talk about like a high overview of all the products that y'all offer, or many of the products that you offer. But this one, we really wanted to do a little deeper dive into just a couple of the products that you offer that are pretty interesting, especially if you've got students, children, that kind of thing.
So my favorite is the Coverdale ESA account.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was probably 10 years ago, and I'm networking and I'm meeting everybody from Quest, and they said, "Oh, your kids go to private school. Did you know that you could pay for your kids' private school tax-free with Quest?" And I said, "What? No." And at first you hear it and you're like, how does that work? But it has been absolutely amazing for me, even though, yes, I started it with only, I think I started each of them with $500. But I'm able to buy and sell notes in and out, which is a passive investment. And I have built all those profits up, and I've paid for hundreds of thousands of dollars in education.
Tax-free. Yep. Yeah, it really is kind of a neat account. It's, as you said, it's called the Coverdale Education Savings Account. It's been around for a long time. And it's one that, as the name implies, if you're utilizing it for what are called qualified educational expenses, the distributions are tax-free. Mind you, everything is always tax deferred while it's in there too. So all those earnings that you're accumulating, you're not paying capital gains or anything on those either. But what's really nice about these accounts is that education has a broad definition in the eyes of the IRS. So it's not just tuition or books. It can be school uniforms. It can be anything that's required, which I've seen technically defined as, a laptop if you're told that you have to have one for the student. Even in the last couple of years during COVID, they were actually making allowances for things like Wi-Fi at home if you were having to homeschool your kids. So it's a broad definition, and it's not college necessarily. It can be used for
Private school,
primary. Again, it isn't like those 529 plans where you only get to use it well down the road.
Well, and the one thing that I learned from you recently was that I could, there are some times where there are other costs that weren't easy for me to take a distribution.
Right.
And, right now, if I'm paying for tuition anywhere, I just have a check cut directly to the school and it pays for it. And it's so easy. I don't even send it. I just order it online.
That's right.
I send it in. Quest cuts the check, mails it directly to the school. The school makes it super seamless because they want to do business with these ESAs. So that is great. But there are times where there are My son was applying to transfer, and all of those transfer fees I can then submit and get reimbursed for any of those transfer fees.
Qualified education expense.
I was amazed whenever I first heard it, because this isn't the first time we've talked to Steve, but I was amazed whenever I first heard about it. My kids, unfortunately, I did not get to participate in this. It was they were a little too far down the line,
Yeah.
but I mean, what an opportunity.
Well, and you do have to have it started before they turn 18.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it has to be distributed by the time they're ultimately 30. However, it can get passed down. So if there is a younger sibling and you haven't depleted the account, it can roll down and give them the chance to utilize that money.
Or any heir, it can go to any child, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Any child.
Or a
Anybody in the
grandchild.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Somebody in the family, basically.
Basically. Yeah, my biggest challenge for opening them, which I thought was going to keep me from doing it, was there is an income max
Right.
that you are allowed to make. And I don't remember what it was. It was something like $250,000. But there's always ways around that.
Ways
so
to navigate.
amazingly ask questions. And
Yeah.
if you think that there's something that's going to keep you from being able to do it, I brought it up. I was like, okay, well, that's done for me. I can't go do this. And then I forget who told me over there at Quest. They said, well, anybody can make your original contribution for
yes.
you.
Yes.
And I said, really? I
Yeah.
go, they said they just can't make $250,000 a year. They have to make
Right.
less than that. So my assistant made it, which was great.
Yeah. And it's not the one thing about the ESA is it's not a lot of money you can put in there. It still is only $2,000, but that's an account, if you have that and you have your IRA, these are things you can partner together. So a lot of small accounts can be partnered with larger accounts. You can use them to expand that capital pool. And as you guys also know, there are a lot of investments out there that you can make with small amounts of money that can really turn into large amounts of money.
Yes.
It's all about getting creative.
Yes.
And, this is something that wholesalers really should be doing
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
taking advantage. I mean, this is
They're the people who love it. There are a lot of the people who I see that do these.
Right.
Yeah.
So if they find a property, they're going to put it under contract for $100.
Yeah.
And then they're going to sell that contract, and all of that profit goes into this account. And those accounts can get big
Yes.
pretty fast.
That's right. That's right. That's the exciting thing about it.
So, Jer'leigh, are you going to the Quest event?
Of course, I'm going to the Quest event.
I love it every time it comes up. This is something no real estate investor should miss.
Absolutely.
I've heard there's people flying in from all over the country.
Well, I mean, they've got over 20,000 investors across the nation. And these people are not only coming to learn, but they're also bringing deals. So if you are not going to the Quest event, get your ticket now. They're 50% off.
That is correct. So
50% off.
you can do a regular admission for $225 right now with 50% off discount,
Or
VIP
VIP.
for $25.
And it's going to be at the Irving Convention Center on June 27th through 29th.
Yes, ma'am.
Be there. You'll see us there, and you're going to get so much knowledge. You're going to be on sensory overload. Well, and so the other one that we wanted to dive into
Is the health savings account.
Yes.
which we just recently found out about this one. We found out a couple of months ago, and you and I both were kind of blown away. I had never heard of this one. Immediately went home, told my parents about it. And I'm like, y'all, we need to really look into this. But anyway, if you wouldn't mind just letting our
course not.
audience know a little bit about that one.
Sure. So as you said, it's called the health savings account. It is designed to get paired with a high deductible health plan. So that's one of the terms, is that you have to be in that type of an insurance plan to fund an HSA. Now, what it lets you do is it's the only thing that's out there that has triple tax advantage. You can deduct the contribution. It is tax deferred while it's in there. And if it comes out for qualified medical expenses, the distributions are tax free.
So when you
Wow.
say that you can deduct the
Contribution.
contribution, is that from your personal taxes or your employer's taxes?
From your personal taxes.
Personal taxes.
Yes. Yes.
And if your employer, which is you, right? Because I have 2 S corps. two different ones, two different companies, they can make contributions.
They can make contributions. However, there is that maximum amount. So between what your employer puts in and what you put in, it's going to be just whatever that amount ends up being. You can't go beyond that. Whereas in your 401k, for instance, you can make a personal contribution. Then there's employer match and other things that can go on top of it. Doesn't quite work that way with the HSA.
With the HSA. Okay, so it's really just.
There is that number, and between you and your employer, that's where you get to that number.
Do you know what that number is, or is it different
So
for everybody?
there are two versions of the plan. So there is a single version. So if you're the only one covered under it, it's about $3,700 a year that you can put in. And then if you're a family plan, it's about $7,500.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, that also does allow for a catch-up. The catch-up, interestingly, is available only when you're 55, and it's an extra $1,000 that you can put in at that point in time.
Okay.
Every year.
Yes.
So we can start it. We can have a separate one because I already have an HSA
Mm-hmm.
with my husband's insurance, which is obviously a high deductible plan. But as long as the company is not putting in $7,500 a year, is that correct?
Yes.
We can put in whatever up to that.
Up to that amount. Yes, exactly.
And at all of that, well, if we're starting this new account, we get to deduct that off of our taxes.
Well, talk to your tax advisor about how it works, because it's not, it's like everything with your taxes. It's not as straightforward as you would think. There is going to be deductibility that you can get. It helped me out a little bit this year at tax time.
Yeah, I bet. No, that's exciting.
Well, I mean, especially with, as everybody, we were just talking about before the show, how insurance is going up. Yeah, we were talking mostly about property insurance, but that's the same for health insurance.
Right.
Freaking kidding me. And then those deductibles get higher and higher because that's the only way that they're going to agree to insure you, especially if
Exactly.
there's anything pre-existing.
I wonder what they recommend that people should prepare for out-of-pocket costs.
In retirement,
Yes.
at the last study I saw for a couple at 65, it said something, and it was assuming a life expectancy like into your 80s, but it said that you could count on maybe as much as $250,000
In additional.
in additional costs.
Wow.
And that's, taking into consideration, that you may have long-term care needs, all those kinds of things. But people are just living longer.
Yeah.
So the need to have a significant amount in your retirement, but also set aside for medical, it's pretty critical.
And whenever you're taking out that money out of those accounts, is that something like, is it paid directly? I know like with the educational account, like you could just reimburse yourself. Is that the same with the medical?
It is the same with the HSA. Absolutely. And what's nice is, with the ESA, you've got to pay the expense within that year for you to be able to use it.
And to get your refund.
To get your refund, right. Now with the HSA, that's not the case. So I can retroactively reimburse myself for something that I paid for this year, 2 years down the road. Now that's critical because when you're self-directing, these investments are not necessarily liquid.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I pay for it out of pocket, I've covered the expense, but that means I get to take that money back and use it myself, and it's still tax-free.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So does it have to be done within 2 years or is it actually longer?
There is no gap. There's no time
gap.
frame. Just make sure that you've got the documentation.
Right.
Yeah.
So
if the
be able to
IRS
document, like
Yeah.
if it's a medication
If
or
it's a
whatever.
medication, if it's a procedure, just make sure you've got all the documentation that you need.
Well, I love that just because of my husband working for American. He went down to Mexico to get all of his dental work done
Mhm.
because it was so incredibly expensive here.
Yeah.
But I mean, the amount of money that we had to come out of pocket for, because nobody freaking does dental.
Right.
But that would have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's substantially cheaper, like the whole thing. But being able to reimburse ourselves,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to come from a doctor. It can be
Right.
anywhere.
Exactly.
And for anything, towards
Right.
anything, as long as you've got the documentation.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep. As long as it's considered that qualified medical expense. And
Yeah.
again, that's a very broad term. If you Google it, you're going to see it covers a lot of different things. Some things you might not expect, like acupuncture, chiropractic,
Which
all
that
those
is
kinds of
huge
things.
because that right there never gets covered, you know?
Acupuncture, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Acupuncture
Mhm.
and chiropractic very seldom.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that are kind of in my go-to as
Right.
far as healthcare and maintenance
It
on a regular
is.
basis.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
much more the case
Massage.
these days. Tread lightly on that.
Massages.
Yes.
If not at the chiropractor's office,
Well,
maybe.
maybe.
Botox, would Botox work?
For migraine. It's
For
always for migraines,
migraines.
right? Yeah.
My
Yeah.
Botox for
Yeah.
migraines. I got a prescription. I've got a
Well,
prescription for that.
that's kind of one of the things is that pretty much anything that's considered cosmetic is probably not going to be allowed. However, if you can get your doctor to specify some kind of medical necessity, there are cases of where then, yeah, you could
Exactly.
use the HSA. So it really comes down to what the purpose of the procedure is.
I love that.
I love that too. I love it very much. I mean, my goal, and I know there's a lot of people who have rental properties that they keep into it, but I mean, that's an active investment in that, you know, the passive ones, the great ones are having mortgage notes inside these things that are
Yeah.
just making you money that I really don't have to do anything. I just
Yeah.
park them there. And then my note servicer and Quest kind of take care of everything. And I just kind of get a little email when they make their payments. But yeah, that
Ding, you
ding.
made money.
But yeah, by the time you
Yeah.
know I hit 60, yeah, I'd like to see, you know, have
Lots of dings. Yeah.
you know, at least $5,000 a month going in
Yeah.
for medical just
Yep.
through note income.
Yeah, that's key.
It does. And I mean, time's going fast.
Well, so just so everybody knows, there is a Quest event coming up that is going to be super educational, and we want to see each and every one of y'all there. So would you mind telling our audience what and where it's going to be?
Love to.
Awesome.
It is the Quest Expo. It's going to be June 27th to the 29th. It's going to be here in the Dallas area. It's at the Irving Convention Center. And right now we're doing a special promotion. The tickets are 50% off. That's the VIP and the general admission. So the VIP is now $425 and the general admission is $225.
Whoop, whoop.
So come on out.
And seriously, it's a great event, and whatever you can afford, you know, if you can only afford the 225, get the 225 tickets. But I got to tell you, I'm a big believer in networking.
Mhm.
And when you've got the VIP event, which would you say it's going to be a great dinner?
Great dinner. I think it's called the Ranch Restaurant,
Ranch?
right near there. Yeah.
Last time was it a poker event?
There was a poker night. Yeah.
We had poker night or
Yeah.
gambling casino night.
Casino night.
That was
That's what
fun.
we did.
I actually picked up a ton of business at that thing. I did.
I'm not surprised.
No, the VIP events are great.
Yeah.
Because if you're paying $425 to be there, guess what? Everybody else is paying $425 to be there too. So
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. The other thing that I really like about the Quest Expo is that it's the nationwide clientele, and we got about 20,000 people nationwide. So a lot of people are coming in for this, but the sponsors there are not just multifamily syndicators. They are CPAs. They are people in the trades. They are attorneys. They are the people that you need to really create that effective network that you're going to need. And we're attacking every angle of self-directed investing. We're going to have a lot of concentration on some of the challenges from this year and some of the solutions coming out of this year as to where things are going as part of the content. So I'm really excited.
Well, and like we said at the beginning of the show, I mean, there's not one event that I've been to with y'all that you were the host that I didn't pull something out of it, whether it was some sort of connection and I get a deal, or I'm included in a deal, and then now I've got like a different investing partnership from one of your events. So
Yeah.
they're always super helpful, and I can't encourage people enough.
Yeah. And you guys have always added so much to our events as well. So we appreciate
It's a
having
love, win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. Please let everybody know how to get a hold of you, and we will go ahead and sign out.
So you can reach out to me at the Quest office here in Dallas. The number is 214-389-2800. Ask for Steve. Don't bother with my last name. I'm the only Steve who works at Quest, so I'm very easy to find.
And I'm Jer'leigh Thompson with Texel Real Estate and Real Estate Reformation.
And I'm Kristin Gerst with Capricorn Mortgage.
And we are Real Estate Divas. We appreciate you joining us, and be sure to like, follow, share, all of the above. And we look forward to seeing you.